In 1940 and 1941, during the Second World War, Germany took on a bombing campaign against Britain. This bombing campaign has become known as the Blitz, and it remains the most concentrated attack on Britain since the Spanish Armada, with 384 German bombers entering British airspace. It is a common misconception that London was the only city which was attacked, but even before the Blitz in London began, other urban areas in the UK had been attacked. The German plans focused on bombing major industrial cities and port cities such as Plymouth. Plymouth was targeted because of its naval dockyard, but it was the city which was more affected by the bombing, as nearly every civic building was destroyed, and 3,754 houses were so extensively damaged that they had to be demolished. Total civilian casualties were over 4,000, with 1,172 people killed. On 6th of July 1940, the first German bombs were dropped on Plymouth in Swilly Road, Devonport. A single enemy aircraft bombed a block of 8 houses, destroying 3 houses, 2 being wrecked beyond repair and damaging another 2. As a result of this, a man, a woman and a boy became the first Plymouth victims of total war.
Observers at the time were astounded by the minimal preparation for the war, both at a national and regional level. It's been calculated that during the Blitz on Plymouth, 250,000 incendiaries fell on the city, one for every man, woman and child of the pre-war population. These scattered incendiary attacks caused significantly more damage on Plymouth than any other type of bomb. The overall result of the bombing saw the population of Plymouth go from 220,000 at the start of the war down to 127,000 at its lowest point. In 1941, Muriel Carter was running to an air raid shelter in Prince Rock after hearing the sirens with her 3-year-old son Leon. On her way, she was followed by a low-flying German aircraft, so low that the pilot's face was clearly visible to her, and he was directing machine gun fire at her. She laid her son on the floor, and in an attempt to save her son's life, she shielded him with her own body. Luckily, both she and her son survived the ordeal. The worst individual case of bombing was on the Portland Square air raid shelter, which was directly hit on the 22nd of April 1941, killing 76 people and leaving only 3 survivors. A commemorative statue to this event can now be seen on the University of Plymouth campus by the Portland Square building. Another memorial to the Blitz can be seen on the door of St Andrew's Church, a plaque reading Resurgam, a Latin word which translates to I shall rise again, which originally was placed on the site after the bombing of the church in March of 1941 and has now become a permanent fixture and a sign of remembrance of the struggle and the strength of the Plymouth community.
Winston Churchill, British Prime Minister, visited Plymouth in April 1941 after some backlash about the lack of preparations in Plymouth for the war. The people of Plymouth cheered the Prime Minister, but in truth, Churchill's visit only affected local morale rather than doing any material improvements for the city. A lot of residents fled the city due to the intensity of the bombing and the subsequent destruction of property. During nights where air raids were expected, instead of going to air raid shelters, thousands were evacuated out of the city to the fringes of Dartmoor and would remain there until it was safe to return. A lot of families moved out of the areas which were less targeted, with a large percentage of children being evacuated in 1941.
As a result of the destruction left behind from bombed buildings, crime was a problematic reaction and directly contested the idea of a Blitz spirit, in which the British people were determined to maintain the war effort. Looting was a very common crime which evolved out of the wreckage of the bombs because people's belongings were left unprotected among the ruins. Bombed homes or even evacuated homes were raided by looters, and a Plymouth man, Joseph Raper, recalled that we children had not realised that during our time in Cornwall, many items of our family belongings had disappeared. The day we vacated our house, my mother moved many items of value into the front room, as that was the only room which could be secured. During the Blitz, there were many people known as looters were active. They had obviously come to our house. If any were caught during that time, they incurred severe punishment. We never saw our belongings again. However, crime was not limited to looting. There were also cases of murderers hiding their victims in damaged houses. When the bodies were discovered, it was assumed they had been in the house when the bomb hit. The blackout increased the opportunities for deviant behaviour. Due to the extent of the bombings, many cities had to be rebuilt. Rebuilt cities would need to be carefully planned and zoned in order to separate incompatible elements like housing and factories. There were also plans to overcome social difficulties by creating different neighbours. Each neighbourhood was designed to cater to the number of people who would be living there, and contain appropriate medical, educational and recreational facilities needed, and by doing so try to cement identity and cohesion and minimise class feeling.